Kolosas 1:26 hanggang 27. Maging ang hiwaga na inilihim sa lahat ng panahon at lahi, datapwat ngayon ipinahayag sa kanyang mga banal, na sa kanila'y minagaling ng Diyos na ipakilala kung ano ang mga kayamanan ng kaluwalhatian ng hiwagang ito sa gitna ng mga hentel, na ito'y si Kristo na nasa inyo, na pag-asa ninyo sa kaluwalhatian. Colossians 1:26-27. Even the mystery which hath been hid from ages and from generations, but now is made manifest to his saints, to whom God would make known what is the riches of the glory of this mystery among the Gentiles, which is Christ in you, the hope of glory. To my fellow Maharlikans on this planet Earth, 777 Morning Star do hereby dedicate this rock of all ages, kingdom of Maharlika, royal house of all nation, regardless of race, color, creed, station, and position, to whatever country we belong. For we being many as one body, has common destiny, and whatever wealth, riches, vanity, distinction being possessed of, shall be left at the end of the road. 777 Morning Star Foundation Incorporated.
Our main topic today is my president, our president, Ferdinand Marcos, the richest man in the history of mankind. The plans of Ferdinand Marcos are hinted at the following citation. The grand plan. Marcos wanted to re-establish the former grandeur of Maharlika, and the whole region, Southeast Asia, the former Malayan Empire. In June 1983, Marcos appeared before the first world leaders in Toronto, Canada. He announced his plan to boost the economy of Southeast Asia region by creating Asian dollar. This will be backed up by 400,000 tons of gold in the central bank of Maharlika, and the other gold he scattered around the region. He would also add to this his own personal 192,000 metric tons in Switzerland. The Asian dollar, backed up by the 2/3 of all the gold in the world that was in the Maharlika, would have made the Maharlika money more valuable and stronger than the American dollar. This was his vision, to raise Southeast Asia to be par with the rest of the first world countries. There are very good reasons to believe that Mr. Marcos was even more far-reaching than this suggests. There is a plenty of solid evidence of the program Mr. Marcos worked with American President Ronald Reagan, which is referred to as the ABL, or ang Bagong Lipunan program. Under this program, some 250 set of gold documented and related ABL currency were to be shipped to various countries around the world at typical set, including 3,500 metric tons of gold worth of $70 billion at today's price or more. That it is start to make a little more sense as to why those United Nations inspectors were using metal detectors in the palaces of Iraq. Why they supposedly sought weapon of mass destruction, or why Saddam Hussein was such a threat to the powers that be, or how and why the price of gold has been depressed on world market, or why former gold bug Alan Greenspan would come out with a statement labeling gold as a barbarous filth. To understand why it's necessary to remove Ferdinand Marcos from the office in 1986, it helped to know that the Yamasita treasure was considered a booty. After the passage of the 3rd years, without a valid claim against this booty, would belong to a new proceso that would have been in 1976, but the International Criminal Court, ICC, at the time extended the deadline by 10 years to 1986. The someone who had accumulated the German and Japanese plundered gold gathered in by Yamasita obviously preferred not to come forward with their claims because such claims could have been revealed and source of such wealth which was or probability quite probably derived from the illicit activities. What became of the remaining 400,000 metric tons pertaining to Tagliantaliano plant and where it is today? To this day, the 400,000 metric tons of Maharlika Italiano gold are still in the Central Bank of East Avenue, Quezon City. Nobody can move it because Marcos insured it with the Lloyds of London and its agents are guarding it, but the present government does not acknowledge its existence. Not only have successive governments of the Philippines failed to acknowledge the existence of gold, they have conspired to keep this information from being known to the Filipino people. We assume this is because they have been working at ways to convert the gold of their own selfish gain. Probably it's conspiracy with the international banking cartel. Probably it's conspiracy with the international banking cartel. To this day, however, no one seems to have found the legal solution. Mr. Marcos was, after all, a brilliant atomic. Immediately after Ferdinand Marcos was removed from office, literally by the U.S. military helicopter, the newly installed President Corazon Aquino formed the Presidential Commission on Good Government, PSGG, purportedly to go after the Marcos ill-gotten wealth. It was very important to the conspirators that this wealth should be labeled ill-gotten, even though, as already been shown, Mr. Marcos was in his own right the wealthiest man on the face of the earth and have absolutely no need to take anything from anyone else. A decision of the Federal Supreme Court of Switzerland dated December 21, 1990, said by decision of May 29, 1986, the Attorney General of the District of Zurich accepted in principle the legal assistance requested by the Philippines and invented all the banks of the city of Zurich to freeze immediately all the account deposit or save of the person, companies, or foundation of Marcos mentioned in order. The accounts were frozen at the request of the government of the Philippines, and the PCGG has assured they have remained frozen to this day. This is all a grand scheme or scam. Blinded Filipinos must keep repeating that Marcos was a thief, so that those hundreds of billions and billions of dollars of Marcos money will remain frozen and not to be given to them for their use. Consequently, they must constantly borrow money from the International Monetary Fund, IMF, and the World Bank with so many interests, so that this country will remain a slave and shackled to their foreign power. The Maharlika, the richest country, the original 720,000 metric tons of gold left by Filipinos benevolent forefather Lusong Tagyan Maharlika is mind-boggling from this of 640,000 metric tons that was brought to the Vatican in 1939 and back to the vault of Central Bank of the Maharlika, 617,000 metric tons on January 7, 1949, could have made the Maharlika a first world country. The Marcos Alliance deposited their earned 192,000 metric tons of gold on one Swiss bank and not stashed away in 54 countries, and some individuals of the government want the people to believe. This is, however, evidence to indicate that the EBL or Bagong Lipunan package were delivered out to many countries, some of these countries to have activated their gold holding. For instance, look at Dubai and the tremendous construction boom occurring in their nation. From whence come then great wealth to do this? From that, the daily interest earned for this country should be more than enough so that the Filipinos need not to borrow from the present IMF and the World Bank or leave their families and go abroad to earn a little dollar. That's the reason our dreams that those Filipinos goes abroad will come back in the Philippines to start their progressive living in the Philippines. To start their honorable and decent life with their family so that Filipinos will be happy once again. History will show that the money was not stashed away and inaccessible but available to truly deserving Filipinos. There was nothing secret about MARCOS account. These accounts were only made secret by some people in the government so that the public would not know the real story that Mr. Marcos is not a thief to anybody else. Nowadays, some of them are secretly trying to withdraw from the Marcos account for their service and for themselves. However, each time they attempt to this abroad, they end up all in jail because of bad secrecy law. Here is another mind-boggling food for thought. In 15 Japanese bank alone, the Marcos Diaz Consortium deposited for 44,000 part of the remaining of 720,000 metric tons of gold. Also minted RP seal made liquid to a total of 559 billions of dollars. Between 1964 to 1974, earning an average of 1.5 non-compounded interest per year, there are more gold of other banks around the world. Gold can only make liquid by liquidating it, and we are not sure this was done. Not even with 44,000 metric tons, because there is no evidence of that kind of money ever being made available in the Philippines, which has the total money supply of just around 30 billion today in dollars. Gold for gold, dollars for dollars. This country, the Maharlika, is the richest country in the world. A talk show in the US TV the week following the bombing of the New York Twin Tower, President Bush was asked this question: which is the richest country in the world today? With a smile, he said, "The Philippines, Marcos." But he cannot talk.
During a talk show in the US TV, the week following the bombing of the New York Twin Towers, President George Bush was asked this question: which is the richest country in the world today? With a smile he said, "The Philippines."
The Philippines is the richest nation on earth. The wisest royal bloodlines on earth go from China all the way to the Philippines. In fact, all the way to Hawaii.
Assets, it's gold. It's more gold than people know about. It's over 1 million metric tons of gold. It is in a special trust account that was set up by Ferdinand Marcos. And
the point is, Ferdinand Marcos, the father of the Philippines, Ferdinand Marcos. I've studied this all my life, on and on and on and on, learning and learning, and it's all coming true now. It's not a legend. It's not a urban legend. It's reality. The Philippines is the richest nation on earth. The wisest royal bloodlines on earth go from China all the way to the Philippines. In fact, all the way to Hawaii. And you can't argue with me because I know the truth. That's why I serve you. Now, the footstool of God is the Philippines.
Assets, it's gold. It's more gold than people know about. It's over 1 million metric tons of gold.
The MARCOS, I will not name the spokesman, will open everything.
The 30 years period is starting 1946 for the gold claim of the claimant of the World War II loot, as determined by International Court of Justice in Hague, was extended by 10 more years. That was the year of 1986. At that time, they made sure that Marcos would no longer talk. After kidnapping him from Maharlika, they put him in a golden prison in Hawaii. So much about the Sarsuela of 1986. People's power, EDSA, the revolution, the Roman Catholic Archbishop, his race, the seminarians, his nuns, and the blinded followers who just pray, pay, and obey. I repeat, pray, pay, and obey. These traitors from the Filipino people did a good job in favor of those two foreign almighty powers. Demolition campaigns against the Filipino people. The invisible and long arm of foreign power are now exposed and brought to light so that everyone will see the real great and hidden manipulator and author of the miseries of our country today. On February 28, 1986, 2 days after Corazon Aquino was sworn as president, but before the proclamation of a revolutionary government, through the proclamation number 3 on March 25, 1986, Cory Aquino created the Presidential Commission on Good Government through her Executive Order number 1. The Commission shall be charged with the task of assisting the President in regards of the following matter. A. The recovery of ill-gotten wealth accumulated by the former President P. Marcos, his immediate family relatives. B. The investigation of such cases of graft and corruption so far as the PCGG had succeeded in sequestering 88 billion pesos alleged the ill-gotten wealth of Marcos. Unfortunately, the PCGG, the gold of Marcos, has so far eluded President Ferdinand Marcos had a wonderful vision in the mind of his people of the world and can be presumed from his effort to implement the Bagong Lipunan program mentioned above, but he had some problems. Marcos could not announce possession of the gold plunders by the German and the Japanese during World War II until sometime in 1986 because of the ruling of International Criminal Court in 1976. The gold was off limit even until the day he was removed from Malacanang by the U.S. helicopter. The existence of the EBL program provided solid evidence of his intention to redistribute at least some initially of the plundered gold for the benefit of many other nations, but this was compelled to work outside of the existing world banking system, and he took on a partner the supposedly freedom-loving United States. The money mothers could hardly approve by such plans because they can run contrary to the wicked agenda on enslaving mankind with fiat, non-value-based currency. Under the fiat money scheme, the international banking cartel had complete control of the world monetary system, along with the freedom to plunder the resources of any nation at will through control of the value of that nation's currency. Perhaps the greatest problem Marcos faced was that the people themselves was not yet reading. They did not know the issue because for most part it was not wise at the time for him to tell them. By 1986, conditions in the Philippines were not that bad. The national debt was small and manageable. The economy was growing. The people were productive. Wealth was more evenly distributed than that it is now. It was not heavenly because the country was still subject to the chokehold of the international banking cartel, but it has only gotten worse since then. Today, good evening. Before I continue, may I ask each and everyone to subscribe, like, in the Richest TV. Today, the people are ready, made so the experience of the intervening 20 years of administration after the administration have operated under IMF World Bank constraint and conditionalities. Today, there is an example of Venezuela, Malaysia, China, and others throwing off the yoke of the international bankers to a certain extent, in some cases, trying the value of their own currencies to the value of the world reserve currency, the US dollar, to prevent further depredation. Today, the truth can be made known and shouted from the rooftop. The Philippines, the Maharlika, is the richest country. Today, with the land titling issue, absolute means manufactured from the avarice and greed of a few, the protection of Ferdinand can be invoked, and today Global Alliance Investment Association is stand ready, willing and able to assist with the provision and banking collateral as necessary to establish the situation and ensure the best outcome. How soon will the promise of golden age materialize? Just as soon as the perception change to sufficient extent. Accordingly, anyone you can do to spread this factual information far and wide throughout the Philippines. So click subscribe in the Richest TV, and we can reach the whole world, so that all the people of the whole world will know the ultimate truth. Bring that they closer to reality. Share, repose, that we will shout it again, that Maharlika is the richest country of the world. For this day, my pleasant thanks to each and every one of you, lovers of truth. Thank you, thank you. A prosperous day to each and everyone.